everybody. Conan O'Brien here with another Clueless Gamer. Today we've got a big one, I'm told. Overwatch. Junkrat? Okay. He has the power of low self-esteem. Oh!
Somebody's been shining that.
Oh, he's on rollerblades.
Yeah.
His only enemy is an uneven surface. What's the objective?
You just shoot each other.
Shoot people. Just shoot people. Go.
No, wait!
Hiding behind balsa wood shouldn't do anything. That bubble I'm in is called Celebrity. Show me what's the most popular game in Korea. That's what I want to see. StarCraft.
And you can click on him with your right mouse.
Yeah.
And those Zergs will go kill him.
Kill him. Kill him. Am I doing a good job?
Yes.
So now what do? I just wait?
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe you should just play this game and I should go find a place to have alcohol.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to BlizzCon. We are here for the World of Warcraft Arena Grand Finals. We do have a special guest with us today.
So how much do you know about World of Warcraft?
I've played it for about 16 minutes.
I trained this. It's going to get
Incredible. Did you just see what happened? Did you see what happened? Well, I heard the crowd react. I didn't know what happened, but I acted as if I had.
Goes down to 2K and he's going to die. I'm not sure if he still had his bubble or not.
Incredible. I don't think he did have his bubble.
Bubble is on the global cooldown, which means you can cast a spell every 1.5 seconds.
You don't have to explain that to me. Okay. That's a little condescending. Oh, there you go. There you have it. There you have it. Wow.
Skill cap 1.
Please, you don't have to dumb it down for me. I'm probably the greatest gamer in the world. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank
I want
you.
to thank the crowd for being here. And what can I say? It's all about this game. The name of which? World of Warcraft, that's it. Yes.
All right. I'm back again, but South by Southwest prides itself on bringing together industries, and this session offers a unique opportunity to learn how the worlds of entertainment and gaming are evolving together. Today, we are honored to be joined by Johanna Faries, president of Blizzard Entertainment, the company behind some of the most influential and beloved franchises in gaming history, including Warcraft, Diablo, and Overwatch, in conversation with Conan O'Brien, legendary TV host, comedian, and famously self-proclaimed clueless gamer, showing that you don't need to be a pro to have fun with games and connect with gaming culture. Please join me in welcoming Johanna Faries and Conan O'Brien.
Hi. Great to see you.
You too.
Please remain seated. It's not. Please remain seated.
I know where that's from. I know where that's from.
How are you all? How y'all doing?
Oh, good.
Let's keep the energy up in this room, all right?
Yes.
That was terrible.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there. I love that I'm even in this situation. Just because
you and
about
me both.
15 years ago, I decided that I was a gamer and inserted myself into the gaming community.
Thank you for that.
No, it was, it's a terrible crime. I should pay for it. And yet, it just keeps paying these dividends
Yes.
that won't stop.
Likewise. I always grew up a gamer, but before we get too ahead of things, we did want to give you a gift, if that's okay. We did not rehearse this. This is not scripted. So
You're going to give me a gift?
terribly awry, it's our fault.
How do you get a
Conan.
Porsche onto this stage?
So, well,
I'm just curious
it's
about the
better than
engineering.
that.
Oh, really?
I will go as far as to say it's better than a new car.
Okay.
So over there,
Uh-huh.
on behalf of Blizzard, we wanted to give you something. We saw the promo or the pre-promos before you hosted the Oscars.
Yep.
One of them stood out that I think you were a little disappointed when they handed you the statue and you thought you had actually won it.
I thought I had won an Oscar. I thought you got an Oscar for hosting the Oscars.
Which he should get.
Which I should get,
Yeah.
by the way.
But
And it turns out, with all the problems in the world, you're applauding that? He should have an award.
Right.
No, I thought it was, I was very disappointed.
I know. Well, we wanted to make it up for you, and we made something that's more specific to Blizzard. If you want to open
Oh, should I go open this?
Go ahead.
This is like a game show suddenly. All right.
I warn against trying to pick it up.
Okay. Oh, you're talking to me? I'm a
Yes.
very strong man.
Yes.
I'm 6'4", 190 pounds, pure muscle.
Yeah.
I can't even get the box open. So
But
that is, oh my God.
so this is a one of one that we made for you.
Oh my, look at this.
It's For those who know, it is a doom hammer, which for WoW players galore, that is a very important
I'm not kidding. This, I think,
weapon.
I'm going to say weighs about 65 pounds.
No, it's very heavy.
This is real gold, ladies and gentlemen. This is incredible.
But
What
it's
a
for you, and
thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
what
you
a
so much for
huge
being
waste
part
of resources
Yeah.
for you. And really for everyone
We're
in the
good for that,
gaming
too.
community.
We're good for that too.
Thank you so much for that. I will cherish that, and my wife will say that is not going anywhere on the first floor. Okay, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Because I find you to be, I wanted to do this because, A, I am one of the better gamers in the United States. And that's not even a joke. I really believe that I have the skills, the speed, the intelligence, and the knowledge. But I wanted to meet you. You're a very impressive person. We both started, Johanna, at the same university, and yet I went one way into evil. and you seem to have, you have a very impressive resume and career. And so talk a little bit about what brought you into this world, because you're working with the NFL.
Yes, I was in sports before I was in gaming as a career.
Yeah.
But I guess I was in both when I was growing up.
Yep.
But yeah, I was 12 years at the NFL, and then back in 2018, I joined Activision Blizzard and cut my teeth with Call of Duty. Now at the helm with Blizzard, it's the coolest, most amazing job ever. And we just, yeah, I'm just also really amazed and gracious to the festival for doing this, because gaming has been waiting for this moment for sure. So
gaming, yes, gaming deserves to be recognized.
Yes.
I was ignorant. I played Call of Duty once. I think you can look it up online.
Seen it. I've
and
seen it.
famously, I think it took me 18 minutes, we counted, to cross the street. I think that was, it was a travesty. But it is absolutely stunning to me. The world of gaming fascinates me. I got into it as, you got into it in this very serious way. I got into it as sort of a fun joke and a one-off, and then it continued, and I got drawn deeper and deeper into this community, which is very passionate. They're highly intelligent, and they take it very seriously, and it's a really interesting, fascinating community.
It is, that's exactly right. And I always say, if you don't like feedback, you don't want to be in this industry, because every hour of the day, especially with Blizzard, you've got this iconic IP that's lighting up all over the world, and with that comes a requirement to sort of always be in conversation with your community.
Yep.
Big day this morning for anyone who cares about Blizzard and BlizzCon. BlizzCon is coming back, but that's a massive community moment for us to kind of galvanize gamers all over the world and return to Anaheim next year. So thrilled about that. But it's fast-paced. It is, no one holds back because of the passion, right? So you got to really embrace that.
Now, when you say, are you looking at all of the comments? Are you reading everything?
Oh boy.
Because I'm going to tell you my personal experience.
Yeah.
Comedy is very subjective, and so I will go look at some comments sometimes. But when they get into how badly I'm aging, I decide maybe that's enough for today.
Yes.
And then I moisturize. And then I moisturize again.
You look great. It's working.
Thank you. I had one of your people work on it for like an hour. I'm a hologram right now. I'm not even here. I'm in St. Bart's.
I think it's, the streets of social media are rough for anyone, but more positive than anything. I think it's really important to me to be just, I'm of it. I am of the community, so in many ways, right? Like, I embrace that too, but you gotta balance it. You gotta stay sane. My kids keep me really grounded, right? So
your kids keep you grounded?
They do. They're at recess right now. They are not watching this right now, and that's kind of good. It's healthy.
My children are 21 and 19 and also at recess.
Yeah.
But that's another story. We'll talk about that later.
Mm-hmm.
I had an experience where I went to, I think we just showed a clip of it. I went to BlizzCon.
Yes.
Under the impression that it was associated with Dairy Queen. And I was massively disappointed at first. And then I had a really good time.
Yeah.
I really had a good time.
Well, we hope you come back.
Yeah, I will. I don't see why ice cream is excluded from the event.
Well, no, we've got our chief marketing officer here, so maybe that's a good
I'm telling
partnership for
you,
down the road.
who here would not like, yes, we all love the world of gaming and Blizzard, but why not also have some DQ on the
That's
side?
right.
I don't think anyone
Blizzard's
would
at
complain.
BlizzCon. I like it.
I think we can do better.
Taking the note.
I like getting behind a really stupid cause and pretending I'm John F. Kennedy. What's interesting to me that has fascinated me about the gaming world and why I keep delving back into it, it started, and he's here with me, my associate Aaron Blair is a real gamer, and he's very serious about it. He's here. If you see Aaron, feel free to just give him cash. But he was the one that pushed me in this direction and said, you should start gaming. And I said, but I don't know, I can't game. And he said, well, that could be where the fun is. And it turned out to be true.
Right.
What I found to be fascinating to me is that when I started in show business a long time ago, it was about trying to get to as many people as possible in a very superficial way. And what's happened in my career is that I've seen it evolve where it's not about me trying to get to 50 million people. It's me getting to people that who are really paying attention to what I'm doing, who are very passionate about what I'm doing, and it feels less horizontal and more vertical, if that makes sense. It feels like I'm really drilling down with this special community. Gaming feels like the same thing to me.
Absolutely, right? Because a Diablo fan, I think of which Aaron is a part, it's really different. It's going to vector differently than our WoW fans. It's going to be different than, you know, who comes to BlizzCon. And there's a great Venn diagram where that overlaps. But at the same time, you can't spread the peanut butter and just say, we reached, you know, 500 million people, check the box. It's really this participatory sort of, we're always in conversation, we're always undulating, it's always a zag or, you know, different directions where we want to take conversation. But I think one of the things that I often talk about is it takes a certain caliber of talent to be able to like work at that pace and think that globally. I was just in China and Korea, right? And the way that Blizzard games light up in that part of our globe is very different than maybe what we might do in Southern California. But we embrace that. You know, I think that's part of the fun.
I do these travel shows, and a number of years ago, I went to Korea, landed at the airport in Seoul, and there are police there to keep the fans back. And there was a huge disconnect in my mind. I didn't understand. I'm not a 21-year-old pop sensation. At the time, this is a number of years ago, I was in my late 20s. No, I was at the time, I easily was in my 50s, and there's screaming kids at the airport. And it was because we found out later on that I had a presence there. A lot of it was through the gaming videos. And, you know, you do think now more than ever, we need this connectivity. We need this, you know, there's a way that people connect with each other through video games, which is very different. There's something about it that is special and unique that I think feels almost kind of valuable right now.
Oh, I mean, as ever. I think if anyone in here, I hope you are gamers and identify as such. I think we all have the individual story of like how a game played a positive role in my life, or what it did for me to meet a friend or create these new gathering spaces. But to your point, I think now more than ever, or maybe it's always been true, but I think the conversation has maybe stayed a little more nascent or underground. Again, it's so awesome that finally it's less about like the old notions or the archetypes or the biases around gaming, and more everyone's playing. It's more a question of like, what do you play, not do you play, and who have you met, and the community that comes around that table is needed. Joy is needed, connection is needed, gaming is at the nexus of a lot of that. So I just hope if that's the takeaway, right, like we're here to be a force for good for sure. That's the goal.
I think the fact that you can enter a gaming world and you can choose how you want to represent yourself is pretty fascinating. I love to go and play these games. I'm out there, by the way. And I'm just asking people when I'm in a game, what do you think of Conan O'Brien? If you're talking to a wizard or a demon or one of the undead or some kind of alien, and they start asking you, what do you think of Conan O'Brien? I think he seems pretty cool to me. You should know that's me, okay?
That's right.
But I have had that experience of, I love dipping in to that world and being anonymous.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
being able to, I don't know, it's freeing.
It's freeing. It's an escape, if you want it to be an escape. It's people meet their partners or spouses. They have amazing reunions all over the world. BlizzCon is that amazing reunion that'll be happening here, and it's really cool how you can kind of choose your own adventure, and it also doesn't have to be the same on a Tuesday as it is on a Saturday. Sometimes I play a ton of games. I play them to escape or to de-stress. Other times I'm like, hey, let's get in this guild together, right? And so there's an elasticity to that I think is really amazing, and that's all the technology behind it too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Alcohol also helps me de-stress. Just putting that out there.
Fair enough. You can do that and game at the
and game and ice cream at the same time.
Yes, have at it.
It's fascinating. I'm really just here. The reason I flew from Los Angeles to be here was I want to be in the next Diablo. I want to be, I think
there's some Blizzard employees here.
Yeah.
We'll take that note.
Yeah.
Got it.
I mean, I would like to be a demon or maybe a necromancer.
Okay, yes, that's a good choice. That's a solid choice.
Yeah. My wife, when she met me, thought I was a necromancer. And so I'm just pitching myself.
Love it.
I'm in Death Stranding. It's very hard to find me. But that was a whole thing, too, where we're going and seeing the amount of going to Tokyo and of course, seeing the amount of work and artistry. I mean, that's something that I was talking about last week on the Oscars, which was I was trying to make the point that this is not just about these A-list people you're seeing. There are thousands and thousands of people behind the scenes that have devoted their lives to this, who are artisans, craftsmen, carpenters, electricians that devote their lives to this. And you see the same thing in gaming too, which is, you know, my son is 19 and he he's been a gamer since he was really small. And I used to worry, oh, it's not like parking your kid in front of a television. He's engaged.
Totally.
And he's with his friends, but also some of the games he's shown me, I'm just blown away by the artistry behind it.
And, you know, to wax on Blizzard a little bit, I think that's part of the secret sauce. You know, you've got, similar to your monologue last week, which was spot on that, like the craft that goes into these games, the consideration, every single detail is also what helps in many ways have a sort of pop off the page, if you will, as compared to other industry leaders as well. But you got to respect that. And so there's this balance, right, of you never want to diminish the secret sauce and the time and the thought and, frankly, the quality that's going into what we execute on, while also trying to make sure that we transcend and we are not just thought of as gaming, but rather as entertainment. You're just seeing so many, back to your Korea piece, right? Like, just announced another huge K-pop artist collaboration in Overwatch. And, you know, we could go on and on about that, but the point is, I think now there's sort of, how do we be really horizontal and broad and relevant at this entertainment with capital E level, while not losing sight of what makes us truly unique, and it comes back to that craft.
I know that you've said, this is a statement that has been put out there, and I know that you agree with the statement that gaming is the future of entertainment, and I used to be a little skeptical of it. Then I started to see the numbers that were involved, and then I started to actually look at the games and look at how much they integrated the creativity and the choices of the fans.
Yes.
And I thought, okay, I actually think it's not an insane statement to say that gaming is where things are headed.
I think so, and it's also, right, like, back to balance, it's not a competition per se, but it's been so, coming from outside of gaming, right, from a career perspective, when I was comping it against Super Bowl numbers, I was like, nobody tell them. I love the NFL, but nobody tell them what's going on at the numbers level in terms of viewership, engagement, interactivity. Massive scale going on at a utterly global level in real time all the time, right? And so it's just important to sort of acknowledge it. And I think that's why we see a lot of brands or other entertainment industry leaders kind of entering the conversation, right? Because now it's normalized in a way that maybe was a little bit more, misunderstood, let's say, or misrepresented.
Well, I guess the part that grabbed me is, as I said, when I started out in the old model, it's 1993, before anyone here was probably born, but I'm being kind. I know some of you are very old. But, I mean, really old. But I made the entertainment, and it was shot out to people who were watching on NBC and who happened to be up at 12:35 at night. And what's fascinating to me is not just how gaming has changed things, but how everything's revolutionized now. It's not how we consume.
Yes.
It's not how we consume television anymore. And I think gaming is probably influencing movies and television. A lot of movies now are based on gaming IP, and they're really popular movies.
Yeah.
And more, you see that it has a built-in audience. But it has something to do, with me anyways, it's less passive. You're not just sitting there watching it, you're participating. And I've tried to learn from that, which is to, in my travel show, fans call in to me.
Yeah.
They say and then someone in Norway will call in.
Okay, Norway.
Really?
Okay. Here for that.
Or he's just heard of it and he's excited.
That's right.
You're from Norway. Well, good. Well, a fan, contacted me from Norway, and so I went to that fan, surprised him at his apartment, destroyed his apartment, and then helped him get his nascent singing career off the ground. And in the process, irritated a lot of people in Norway, probably including this gentleman here, probably here to hit me. But it was what I love about it is that it's interactive. It's a conversation between me and the person in Norway, or me and the person in Argentina, or me and the person in Armenia. It's a conversation. What they do influences what I do. What I do influences what they do. And I think that's something that gaming really kind of invented.
Yes, in many ways, right? And I'm also curious how you feel about it. But it's interesting, too, because I'm such an introvert, and yet I'm so lit up. I'm energized by the interactive, like the pace of conversation, even if it's, negative, or it's loud, or it's not, if we don't land something the way that we always wanted to land it, which is inevitable. I love it because it's actually more interesting to then figure out how do you pivot, or what are we going to take from this for next time. And so there's this constant iteration going on, which either can be, again, really frustrating and draining, or really energizing. I think we're sort of built where that's the DNA, that's the muscle of, let's throw it out there, because there's no such thing as perfect. What's really perfection is when we're sort of doing the dance with our communities, because we're sort of in this, everlasting loop of feedback. Try again, and I love that. I love that.
Well, it's one of the lessons that you learn. When I was getting started, I thought I would look at my heroes and think, boy, if I could just get a late night show and have it for a day, then I've arrived and I've made it and I've achieved my dream. And then you realize that's not the case. It's constantly evolving, and the job is never done, and you're constantly trying to figure out what is your next iteration, what's your next move. And what you're describing is the same thing on a massive scale.
Yes.
Because you need to be making decisions, and everyone at Blizzard needs to be making decisions. And in the gaming world, there's a long lead time. You have to be making decisions and then making adjustments on the fly, and then hearing the response, and then responding to that response with your response, and it's never over.
It's never over, and I think a lot of maybe jobs or industries or companies would say we're also highly iterative. I think what's going back to your Norway example and the gentleman over there is.
Let's not include him.
Okay. It is.
Because we don't know what his intent
Fair
is
enough.
here. It
Fair
could
enough.
be quite malicious.
Is the human element, the life-changing stories that come off of it that are, I mean, just, they range from some of the most heartening, sometimes heartbreaking, but there's real life change that's happening amidst all of it, right? Because it's stories, it's escapism, it's gaming allowed me to bond with my kid in a way that I couldn't before. It's now that I found my tribe because I couldn't find it in the real world, or whatever it might be. Or again, I found my partner or my spouse. That to me is, part of what gets me up out of bed every morning really excited, because at the end of the day, you'll just come across these stories. You see how the IP, as iterative as it is really creating and shaping lives in a really powerful way.
To me, too, it's I think as a viewer, if I'm watching conventional movie television, if I feel I'm being spoon-fed a narrative that doesn't challenge my intelligence, I get offended. And of course, there are obviously shows that assume I'm an intelligent person and challenge me, like a Severance or something like that, where I'm watching it and I'm like, oh my God, the show is challenging me and expecting me to be intelligent. I think when the games are well done, they are pulling you into a world where you need to think, you need to figure things out, and I feel. It's strange, but I feel respected on some level.
I love that. Yep.
No, I need this, or I'm coming across people that really take this seriously and really have, are showing me their skills.
That's right.
And I feel like I'm with people that are treating me as if I'm an intelligent person.
I love that.
Or they kick me to death, which happens a lot.
It's true. I also think, going back to Blizzard a little bit, right? Any gaming company that's been on the map for a long time, the more sophisticated and more savvy your consumer base is going to likely be, right? And so you got to keep surprising. You got to keep playing on the edges a little bit without, again, alienating people who want to get involved for the first time. So again, it's always that balance. But I love what you said, and it's true. I think part of the other thing that's so cool to me about gaming is really savvy people all over the world who, just have such real acumen about the games you're putting out there. So the feedback is usually really, really sophisticated.
Now, obviously, when you're dealing with a community that's passionate, it's a double-edged sword.
Indeed.
So they're going to be extremely excited and I'm trying to say ebullient, but I can't, and I'm blaming, I think it's the lack of humidity. And some pills I took on the plane. But they're very excited about, that's a better word. They're very excited about you getting things right, or Blizzard getting things right. If they feel you've missed the mark, you're going to get the other extreme.
You will, but it's always, I don't want to say always, by and large, I find it's coming from deep passion, deep care, right? It's not negative feedback or noise for its own sake. It's because people want to see great games continue to flourish, right? So again, I think if we're in listening mode, which I know my teams hear me say probably ad nauseum, put it into the fuel, put it into the gas tank, see what happens. Because it's likely that the truth is somewhere in the middle, and our best foot forward is likely some combination of all of that, right?
Yeah, I think that I live in a very different world where decisions are made and we put our work out. We can have an idea at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and we can sort of get it out onto the internet 2 hours later. Or we can think of an idea 3 days before the Oscars and get it in front of 20 million people on Sunday night. You're living in a different world where I'm guessing the response time is going to be more difficult because of just the technology involved.
It is, right? And that's why we often say it takes a Blizzard, because it does. It takes a village. We need world-class developers, but we also need world-class communications leaders. We need world-class event marketers, you name it, right? Because even when we dropped the news, what, 3-4 hours ago about BlizzCon coming back, within 35 seconds, it's like boop, 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 rapid fire, right? And so you got to be ready to sort of run at that pace. But I love it. I love it. It's so wonderful. It's just
you get adrenaline from it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what an incredible medium for entertainment. It's storytelling. It's the best of the best. You know, everywhere, down every hall that I'm walking down, it's the best caliber person in that field, right, in many ways. And it's an honor to do that.
Do you see it, obviously you see the influence because there are movies that are using the IP from gaming, but do you envision a world where movies are trying to make it in some way more of an interactive experience?
You tell me, I'm curious.
I don't know. I don't even know how it's possible, where you're watching a movie and you decide, I think that this character should go down that hallway as opposed to that hallway. To me, it feels like, well, then you've just become a game. As opposed to, it feels like they have to move into your realm rather than meet you in the middle.
I think that's right? I think that's where the partnerships and the collaborations come together to say sort of, what are you good at, what are we good at, how do we sort of shine together, versus forcing a medium to be something that it's not, is my guess. But we've seen that, and I think a lot of people in this room can attest, right? Huge blockbuster, as you said, movies, film, TV, music, really coming through IP that is born of gaming. So love that. Right, and I think that's really where we want to be able to say, look, if you've got an idea, you've got an event, you've got a movie, you've got a film, you've got a K-pop band, we've got this canvas, and we can make it interactive because that is our DNA. That's how we wake up in the morning, right?
Right. Well, which brings it back to my pitch that I'm in Diablo, and then people get to decide.
Yes.
And you know whether I live or die.
Yes.
Which means I would die very quickly.
No. No. We'll get the writers on that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. A very strong negative reaction. But it is interesting how if someone becomes, as many people are, you know, whether they're here or they come to BlizzCon, or because I've been in the world of BlizzCon and I've seen how committed everyone is, that I wonder what it's like for them to experience. They go to a movie theater and they're fed a narrative.
Right.
If on some level that feels unsatisfying to them because they're so used to participating in the narrative and creating the narrative.
That's interesting. Yeah.
You know, and I think that's interesting because these generations come quickly.
Yes.
You know, that someone starts playing a video game when they're 8 years old, and within a very short period of time, that's how they feel that is entertainment.
Yes. And you know, it's interesting as you were talking, right? Like, we've been riffing on this a little bit even internally. We're named Blizzard Entertainment for a reason. We're not named Blizzard Games, right? Because it's big. It's bigger than that. I think what's good is we can ride the wave now a little bit of, all right, what does the moviegoer maybe want to see if we want to get them involved in Blizzard, right? What does the musician, or you know, somebody who's an avid fan of a different part of entertainment as an industry want to see from us that maybe is a little less straight down the middle, right? And so I think broadening the aperture of how we show up as entertainment is a very ripe and exciting conversation right now for us. And it gives us permission, because I think we're starting from such iconic, again, stories, IP, worlds. In particular, I think we're known for world building, right, and lore and character development and rounded characters with a lot of nuance. So that's already there. Now, how do we say, if you only got 2 hours for us, or you only got, you know, so many hours in a day because you've got a lot of other things, or it's your first moment in time on any given platform to try and try out Blizzard, how do we bring you into that gathering well, right? So hopefully BlizzCon is one of those examples, but more to come for sure.
So I have found, first of all, did you start gaming long before you came to
I did,
Blizzard?
But you know, it's funny, I think my first gaming experiences probably started around 5 years old.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I played all of them, and I'm more of like an RPG kind of girl, but like, I play them all. And then I play them all now because part of it I just think is really important for work, and it's also just because that's how I've always been. But I say that because back in the day, I didn't think to identify as a gamer per se, and I certainly didn't think to dream big enough about having a career in it. It was just sort of part of my day, you know?
Yeah.
So I've always had a deep appreciation for it, and that's great. I think I'm hopeful now people can kind of walk out of rooms and say, oh my gosh, I can be a part of this, you know?
I wish I had started earlier because I think because I started so late, I have trouble still just walking. Standing erect and walking in a straight line. And if something's happening to my right, turning to my right and witnessing it. And my son is just disgusted with me.
I hear you, as are my kids.
He's filled with loathing, and I think if I had just started, my first experience with gaming, true story, my best friend growing up was this kid, Jake Fleischer. His father was a professor at MIT. We lived right outside Boston. And I remembered once, early 70s, like 1971, something like that, he said, I got to show you something. We got on the subway, we went over to MIT. He brought me to this room that was about the size of this room that was just filled with servers.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And it all led to one screen. And that screen was basically, and it was something they were working on at MIT, was basically showing a crude version of what we would call asteroids.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was massive servers.
And I hope they were keeping them cool.
Yeah, they weren't. There was a massive fire.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
And we were all just, I'm watching this screen, little pellets are coming down and you could fire back. And I thought I felt like Oppenheimer watching the first explosion. You know, I am death, the destroyer of worlds. Yes. Cut to this future where people are on a handheld device.
Always.
In these worlds.
Yep.
And it has, you know, you can't even calculate. My mind cannot comprehend the distance between what I saw and where we are now.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to say to you, what's the future?
Yeah.
Where do you think we're going? What could you envision in 10, 15 years?
I mean, it's hard to predict, right? Because to your point, what's happened even in the last 10 years for gaming has been enormous. But here's what I'm hopeful for. I know at Blizzard, we're going to have to meet you or anyone who has any interest in playing a game where you are. So if you like to play with one hand, if you're a controller gal or guy, if you're still on PC, great. But the platforms of the future are going to be different. The expectations on memory and speed to fun are going to be different.
What is speed to fun?
You know, like time to fun. Like how long did it take me from download to fun? Like let's make that as quick as possible, right?
Yeah, let's get working on that.
Let's get working on that.
I want
take that
fun right away.
More time to
Instant fun is what I want.
That's right. But I think as well, the future has got to be where we look back and say, hey, remember when you were still trying to justify gaming's rightful place in entertainment? Like we're not having to push on that narrative so much as like, everyone's percolating, this is entertainment. It's sort of taken over in many ways because it's become the norm, not whatever the archetypes are that we may still have about who gamers are and what they look like or what they prefer. So I think we're ready for that. We embrace that. We want to be at the forefront of that for sure. And that's not cliche. That's definitely, we mean that when we say it here. But yeah, I'd love to look back and see that the whole broader entertainment conversation has completely flipped on its head in terms of where gaming is in the sort of spectrum of relevance, right?
So you're not ready to tell me that there'll be a small chip put in my brain where I can play a game.
I will not do that to you, Conan. I assure you.
No, you won't actually do the procedure yourself. But I'll go to some facility that will look something like this. But that's what fascinates me is the revolution. When I was a kid, we all thought the future was going to be, automobiles had evolved so much.
Right.
From the time my dad was born in 1929 to 1963 when I'm born, that we all assumed that would still keep going at the same rate.
Yes.
So when I was a kid, everyone was convinced that we would be in flying cars by the time we were 25 years old. What happened was that curve flattened out. Cars got more sophisticated, but the curve flattened out. What did happen was the personal computer. And that was the revolution.
That's right.
No one, I mean, none of us were thinking that.
Yes.
That was not something that was in anyone's
That's right.
concept
That's
of what the
right.
future was going to be. Now that it's here, it feels like that's where that curve has not flattened. That's just going to keep accelerating.
I think so, and that's where you've got the best in technology kind of convening with so many amazing visionaries on the creative side, where the inflection point can happen in any given moment. But back to it, what I really certainly hope is not the case, and I think will always be part of the trajectory, is the craft behind it, the craft.
Right.
And you cannot manufacture that kind of greatness. It's got to still come from the human heart and the soul, and we got to tell the right stories that really compel. That's, I think, what has been so deeply ingrained into our communities in particular, is that you feel the difference there. You feel the depth at which people are operating in terms of the creation of the characters and the storylines. But certainly the gameplay loops are just going to continue to surprise and delight. So I'm excited, but I'm kind of in the, I don't know either. If I had a crystal ball, I can't predict it, but I know that if I wanted to pick where I wanted to live right now to think about the next 15 years in entertainment, I certainly would want to be in this part of the industry for sure.
And I wanted to ask about Microsoft. You're under new ownership with Microsoft. Yes. How's that going?
Good.
How's that partnership?
I mean, what an amazing company to be a part of, and it's a force multiplier in many ways, because you're part of also one of the best companies in terms of innovation, technology, shaping the future of everything we talk about when it comes to engagement, right? And we're also part of a bigger suite of IP. And so it's really cool to also have our leads and our teams intersect with other game studios and parts of the gaming org. So it's just been an awesome marriage in many ways. And we're very, we feel very blessed to be a part of that. So.
Yeah, the important thing to me in situations like that is that the partner lets you do the thing that you know how to do.
Correct. Without
sort of trying to say, no, this is what we're doing now.
That's right.
That they let you be you.
Yes, highly empowered, and that's critically important, right? And so we're happy to sort of shape it together, and we're learning from each other. I think that's great too. And it's awesome to feel like you have a seat at the table at Microsoft in terms of where we want to go next as a company, and what's the role that gaming can play, and what's the role that Blizzard can play, and all of that. So that's been great. Yeah.
I've been grateful for something which is I've seen personally. My son graduated high school. He went off to college, and the way that he stays connected to all of his friends from high school is through gaming.
That's great. Yep.
And I remembered when I went, I completely lost touch with a lot of my friends in high school for a long period of time. He's gaming with them regularly, and it's this, I think, really nice exchange.
Yes.
They're staying connected through gaming. While he's at college, he's still meeting new people, but he's keeping those friendships.
Yeah, and they'll hopefully be lifelong in many ways, right? And I think, again, we all have these stories, but I recently went to a wedding of young adults, and every single one of the people, but for a few of us, were part of their global gaming community, and they were just getting together to celebrate in person, because two of them met that way and got married. And that's back to life-changing and the role that our games can play. That was a little bit of a WoW reunion specifically, but I love that. That's,
How does that work? Explain that to me. You're playing a game. I honestly don't know how it works. I know you're tittering up front, chuckling, having fun at my expense.
No.
But you're playing World of Warcraft, and some kind of creature catches your eye. I honestly don't know how it works. How does it work? Do you sidle up to them?
We will do this. We will get you in the game, we'll show you around.
Well, my wife...
And your wife, together. You guys should join together. And
no, we're not into thruples.
I don't mean it. PG.
We're into, come on. This is taking a turn.
Yeah.
We want more people involved in a thruple.
But it's the serendipity of it. You will turn a corner, you'll go somewhere in Azeroth, and you'll meet some cool peeps.
No, but I know you meet people, but how do you reach out to them and say,
hey?
There's
chat logs, there's like, hey, who are you? There's ways you can sort of chat in game.
I enjoyed killing you.
Well, it's not, WoW's not not so aggressive as that.
Okay, I just have a lot of questions.
Yes.
As you can tell, I'm a little bit of a perv.
No. No, it's friendlier than that.
It's,
no.
Listen,
Yes.
I don't really mean I'm a perv, and I'm not encouraging pervy behavior. My therapist would say I have certain predilections, which we've medicated. But no, I mean, that is fascinating to me, the people that meet and form romantic bonds this way.
It's incredible. It's true.
And
it's real.
It's just...
and some even have their weddings in Azeroth.
Cheaper.
Exactly. Imagine
Anyone here paid for a wedding? I have.
You've
I'm
given
going
me
to
a great
insist. I'm going
idea
to
for
insist that
son.
my kids are married
Love
in a virtual
this idea.
world. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah, exactly. You're getting married in World of Warcraft.
That's it. I love that. Yes.
Yeah, and then I pay nothing, and
everybody wins.
Everybody
in
wins.
that situation. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that whole concept.
Yeah.
It is fascinating to say, as I was saying, that I'm in this part of my career where I get on airplanes and I go to Norway or go to Argentina or go to Ireland. I go to all these different parts of the world to meet with people, and the idea that I could form a bond with them that's real and meaningful and deep and not leave is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm getting on airplanes. Is I guess.
Oh, yeah, it's both and.
I mean, I love to go there, and I loved seeing Norway, and we didn't meet, but there's 9 people there, and I missed you. I don't know how that happened. But they said you were out that day. But I mean, it is a revelation to me.
It is. And I was going to say, speaking of Norway, I did not have that on my bingo card that Norway would play such a big role in this conversation. But, we just had an awesome partnership with Netflix a couple months ago with a documentary called Ibelin, it's the story of a Norwegian player who has sadly since passed away. But I don't want to give away too much if you haven't seen it, but the remarkable life of Ibelin is a stunning account of what can happen for people in the real world who may be struggling with quite severe things, but can escape into World of Warcraft and have a completely transformational experience, community. It's as powerful as, bring the Kleenex, but it's a stunning account of this type of community that can emerge in our games. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that I have found throughout my life in this business is how many people out there feel like they're alone, are depressed. They truly feel they have a dysmorphia where they think they can't be understood and that no one else is like them. And so anything that enhances that or brings people into a space where they feel like they're being heard and they're having a connection,
yes.
I'm all for, because it's people don't understand that there are other people like you out there, no matter what game you're into or whatever you think that your situation is or your problem is.
That's
there are
right.
other people out there, and so anything that's advancing that
Yes.
Feels empowering to me.
And back to your call out before about people behind the scenes, shout out to localization teams everywhere in the gaming industry, right? Because that can only happen if there are teams of technologists, engineers, creative storytellers who also can translate this creative into nascent languages for people, right? And do that in a sophisticated way, in a considered way. You can only play in as much as we make it accessible for people to be able to understand it in many ways and then connect amongst each other. So it takes so many different incredible skill sets to make that thing happen. And I think sometimes it's easy to sort of see it at face value and take it for granted. But the way in which the symphony sort of shows up to enable any kind of launch or any kind of human interest moment for people is also part of what makes this job so, powerful and magical to me.
It's interesting. I think about going down this road of years ago when I worked on The Simpsons, and thinking now, if I was doing that job now or doing that job in 15 years, would I be writing Simpsons episodes where we're trying to figure out if Homer buys the donut shop this happens. If he doesn't, then that happens.
Interesting, yes.
And how that would open up all these different kind of ways of comedy storytelling. I mean, because I have a comedy brain, I think about how this world would work comedically, and it's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
I'm glad I don't have to figure it out, but I do think that there are going to be future generations that are figuring out those kinds of stories.
That's right.
Where if this, then that, and if that, then this.
And you're touching on canon, right? Like to some degree, as a Simpsons fan as well, there's a canon there, right? And
Right.
if you go left, like everything sort of has to go left with it. Same thing with our stories. And, you know, what happens next in Diablo Vessel of Hatred, or what happens next in the next chapter for World of Warcraft, everything else has to come along with it for the ride, right? So, and we're going to hear it. We're going to hear whether people sort of said, yes, he should have bought the donut shop or not, right? So we have to be years out sometimes, even just on the creative structure of what we're going to do, because there's decades behind a lot of the core lore.
I would love to personally, like, see my favorite place to be in comedy is a writer's room. I love a writer's room, and that's, I'm a fish that's happiest when he's in that special kind of water. And so I'm very curious to know what a writer's room is like on a video game, you know, in the gaming world.
Come on through. It's amazing. For me, I geek out at sound design, so the sound design team knows that I'm always like, hey, can I come down and watch you guys work again? Because I just think it's incredible. But yeah, seriously come on through, right? Because that is also one of the things that I think gets underrepresented is we've got Hollywood's best and brightest also having come to Blizzard because they want to be a part of Blizzard's story and franchise development team who are only coming from film and from scripted or unscripted, but they want to be a part of, you know, shaping the narratives in gaming, and it's operating like, you know, a traditional writer's room in many ways, right? But then they can sort of see that come to life in such a different medium. It's really awesome.
I hope the food is better than a traditional writer's
It's pretty good at HQ.
Good,
Yes,
that
come
was
on
not
through.
the case.
We'll feed you well.
Simpsons.
Yeah.
We all had heart attacks every 3 months.
It's great. We have themed things in the cafeteria too. It's fun. Yeah, it's good.
I'm curious if there's anything I haven't touched on with Blizzard and what you guys are reaching for that you'd like to get out there that I haven't brought up.
No, I mean, I just want to say again, I think on behalf of all of us, we're thrilled. I think we're in shock still that you were up for this in many ways because you definitely have been at the forefront of validating gaming.
Oh, I don't think so at all. I think I think I've been a blight on the gaming community.
No.
And I say that with affection that, you know, one of the things I'll say with myself in gaming is that I've been honest. The one thing I will tell you is I've been very honest when in the gaming videos we've made when I'm confused and lost, we put my most humiliating moments out there. And what surprised me when we first got into it is, first of all, how many other, I'll say celebrities, but people, funny people I really admire who are into these games and love them. And so I realized it was a type of comedy I could do where I could sit with Bill Hader and we could play a game and both of us are just making jokes the way everybody does when they're playing a game and they're commenting on things. And that was enjoyable. But I also was stunned that whenever I travel around the world, people come up to me from countries I haven't even been to, and they'll say, please, more Clueless Gamer. I love Clueless Gamer. And they don't seem to mind that I'm terrible.
No.
And
that's, like that's the thing, right? You don't have to be hardcore.
I wish you had said, no, you're not that bad.
No.
But you didn't.
I missed a trick there. I'm sorry. I apologize for that.
Well, you're pretty much through at Blizzard now.
You're great.
Yeah,
the games that you play.
Exactly.
That's right.
But it's what I've liked about it is that it was a community where I could go in and I'm honest about the fact that, yes, I missed the wave. I got in late. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm very honest that I don't know what I'm doing. When Aaron Blayart starts telling me way too much pre-story about what I need to know.
Sure.
He's like, you're going to go into Orsgard, but remember, there's a stellar stone, but it was brought by the Thimbar. And I become frustrated and angry, often physically violent. And what I like about it is that I go in with an open heart, which is this, I don't know what it is, but I know something very creative is happening here. And I know something very artistic is happening here. And I know it's something that I've seen it myself through my son, something that's given him a lot of joy. And so I see all that happening and I say, okay, I'm in. I'm never going to get better. Any neurologist will tell you I'm only going to get worse at my age. It's going to get, if you think it's bad now, it's going to get so much worse as I lose more function. But there's something fun about being honest about that and having the gaming community say, yes, this loser's in town and he's playing this game, but something funny will happen and he'll be gone soon. So
no, well, that's part of it.
You know.
I think that's, again, talk about narratives and changing it, and we know we have to play a huge role in that too, right? Like, it's such an inherently inclusive and welcoming community, provided you feel like you can access it. And, you know, I find my tribe, or I found my game, or I found my me time, whatever it is. And there is that sort of, hey, if you want to be a part of this, we'd love to have you kind of vibe, which I think is really awesome and beautiful and important now in the world more than ever. Because I sense that en masse, most of us in gaming just kind of want to say, yes, come on in, come on in, join it. You don't have to be, have spent X amount of hours or know this amount about the backstory. There's a role for you, and we want to make that fun for you. And so it's our job to make sure that accessibility is there. But to your point, I mean, household name after household name after household name, you name it, are playing games, want to come tour HQ because they love it. And so we're also trying to spotlight that most of the big celebrities, yourself included, but these are major gamers in many ways, or major advocates of gaming. And so let's spotlight that too, because I think that creates a modern sort of accessible point as well for others who might be curious about it.
Yeah, it's exciting to see where it's going to be. Obviously, I'm the last person to predict, but just to see where it's going to be in 5 years is exciting.
It's exciting.
And so, I mean, I can imagine you were at the NFL, you come into this world, and it must be, you're seeing, oh, this is where everything is going.
This is big, yeah. This is big. Even just the next 5 years for Blizzard is enormously exciting. So, I think, again, I just want to say thank you. Thanks for those for making the time to listen to it too. But I think the future is incredibly bright, so off we go.
Well, I'd like to announce there is going to be Dairy Queen at the next BlizzCon. Even if I have to pay for it myself. Yeah, and when I say pay for it myself, it won't be a lot of Dairy Queen. There's going to be like 3 Blizzards.
3 of them.
And if you first come, first served, I will top out at $45. And then you're getting absolutely nothing else. Well, I wanted to be here because obviously I have this connection with the gaming community, which is completely insane and wrong. But also I wanted to meet you because you're a very impressive person, and we had some commonality in our past. And I thought, okay, I want to talk to this person. I'm very glad that this worked out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
so much.
thanks so much,
Really
Johanna, and thank you everybody for being here. Got to get my hammer. What's it called? The hammer?
Doom hammer.
Doom hammer.
Doom hammer. But it's a
I need
force
the
for
doom
good.
hammer. Let's get it.
Go, 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 go.